All right, so I'm recording now. Good evening and welcome back to our backend development class. As we did last time, we will be following the same protocol. I will be focusing on the question tab. So if you have any question on your question tab, then I can attend to it. This is where we stopped last class. We initialize our server by using npm init-y, which it will create a package.json file, and then we come to create our entry point here, which is server.js, and then we installed Express in our dependency. This is where we install it. As you can see it here, Express is in our dependency here. So today we are going to complete started that day. What are we going to do now? We're going to finish up setting our package.json file. It's not that all, but for what we need in this particular project we started, before we go to our entry point server.js. So when you have this package.json file here, for me, I prefer using ES6 syntax, JavaScript ES6 syntax. So when you have this package.json file here, you have your name, the version of the application, the mains file, which is your entering point for the application. Then under this main file, you will have to configure it to be using ES6 syntax in your application. If you didn't convert it, you'll be using ES5, which most people use. But me, I prefer using ES6 syntax. It's more easier for me. So that is what I use. So by doing that, how are you going to now how are you now going to start using your ES6? You have to put in the type here. You put in the type here, and remember this is a JSON format, so the keys and the values all are in pairs, are in quote. So you first of all put it in quote and type here. So when you type it, you go outside of the quote and then you put colon. Again, since it is JSON format, the key and the value have double quotes. So now I will now put the model here, which is the one enable us use ES6 syntax. So after doing this, you come down here to your scripts. This is the script here. After this debug, you see a script tag here. You come down there. Either you delete this text or you put a comma and enter. When you enter this particular place now, you are giving a command which your server will be running. If you didn't give this command here, what you'll be doing is in your terminal here, every time you want to run this server, you have to come in and type the name of the server, which is server.js npm run server.js. But there is a way you can do it, and it will be working automatically without you restarting it every time. So this particular one now, where I'm about to put now, you will put start here like this. Then outside you also put colon, and the value also will be in quote. Now, what are you going to put as the value here? You are going to put node space the name of your entering file, which is your entering points. This server.js, that is what you are going to put in there. So I will type server, and you can see as I'm tapping it, it pop up here. So I'm going to accept it by clicking enter key. Then I will type .js and I will accept it again. That is one command for running this application. Another one, I will still do double quotes def colon value, which I will still do node mon. I'm going to explain that shortly. Node mon server .js. So in building backend, you will be running your application every time. You'll be running your application every time to see the output of what you are building. But there is a way you can do it that it will auto start by itself. So that is the reason why I put in dev here. Dev is a start command to run the script. But in this way, using this node mon is going to auto restart the server after I make any change in the server, in my application. So by doing that, I will come down to my terminal, and then I will now type npm install node mon. That is the package that is going to help me auto restart my server anytime I make changes. And when installing it, are you seeing my terminal?
Yes.
Can you see my terminal?
Yes, I can see it.
All right. So when installing node mon, you will type -d, capital letter. This I here is installed. You can type it in full or you can put the I, but it will still work. So this -d now is to tell you that this is a dependency. Install this nodemon in the dependency. When I install it, you will see it that it will not be in this dependency. Sorry, it will be in dev dependency. It will not be in dependency. Dependency means that whatever our application depend on it, that can make it to run, that our server can stay successfully, that depends on it is this dependency. But this nodemon I'm about to install now is only used in development. We have the development phase and the deployment stage, which when you are building your application, this is the development stage we are doing now. Setting up a server is development stage. That is what we are doing now. When we finish building this application, we are going to deploy it on a server like Render, Vercel, Heroku, and others. In that point, this nodemon is not used again. What the server, the hosting platform will use is this command here. This start command. This is what we are going to send to our hosting platform. But in the case of development, which we need to restart the server, restart every time we make changes, we are going to use nodemon to help us restart the server anytime we make changes. So I'm going ahead to install this nodemon by clicking enter. Sorry, I'm not in the terminal. Yes. By clicking enter. Watch my terminal and see what it's doing to show you that the package is installing. It's done now. Why is it not showing inside this my oh let me install it again. It's not showing my package.json file, which is supposed to show.
I I think it is G you are supposed to use to install it. Global, not D.
No, both of them work. Both of them work, but normally we use D. Install nodemon. I want to install it. Remove nodemon. I will install it now. I'm trying to install it again. npm install nodemon. -d. Why is it that it's not seeing it? What is happening?
Let's see what the error message is showing now.
Pardon?
The error message in your terminal, what is showing? It's saying run npm fund or something.
Coming. That one is not an issue. Then close the VS Code and restart it again. Yes, save it now. Are you still seeing my screen? Hello?
No, I'm not sharing the screen.
Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
You are seeing it right now.
I can see it.
Yes. The NodeMo installed is installed, so it's okay. Please, you can mute. So that is how to install the NodeMo. You use npm install NodeMo, and then it will install using -d to install in-depth dependency, which we are only using it for development. That is the reason why we are using depth dependency here. So now, oh my God, my scripts have gone. Let me put it back again.
That's what I wanted to say.
Oh, okay. I'm going to put the start, the node server.js, as well as my NodeMo, which I'll be using for auto restart. I will now put it in quote, colon, which I will say NodeMo server.js. So when putting this, your start command, which is the start and the dev, make sure that the name here, the entering point name, which is your server.js, as well as this main file here, make sure that the spelling are correct, because if you make any mistake by typing error, you'll be getting unnecessary error in your terminal when you are running the application. So with all this, for now, we are good to start our server. So we now go back to our server.js file. Oh, let me see. This is not there again, which I will put it back. The type, which is modules, and then save the package.json file and go back to the server.js. After installing everything, we have to bring in Express in our entry point so that we can configure it. We can initialize our application with the Express package, which our application will depend on it by saying import Express from Express space Express, and you see that the Express is coming up here for me to accept it. If you did not install the Express, you will not see it like this. It's when you install it that it will come up like this. So I have to accept it. And then go to the next line. In this next line, we are going to now configure it by saying const app equals to Express by calling in the Express function. This is how we initialize the Express function or configure it in our application. Now we are telling our server to build on top this Express, because all the application we are building is based on this Express. So now that is the reason why we give it a name, app here. Because if we did not create a variable called app, we'll be using express dot whatever we want to use. So in that case, we put it in a variable called app. So whenever we want to use it, it will be easier for us to use. So this is how to initialize our server using the Express. After configuring it, we now go and set our ports where our server will be listening. This particular part now is a part that listens or work 24 hours, 247 in our application, which every time our server is listening for request, what is coming into the server to application. If you wake up in the night, you go on Google, you type whatever website you need, and if the website is available, you make use of it. That is the particular part of the application that does that we're about to do now, which I will now put app.listing here. This is the part that listens to any request that come in our application. So now it's listening, but it does not have any port that is listening on. If you want, you can do it in one line, which we say 5,000 command, or like this. our server is running. I save the file now. So if I run this server now, it's running, but you will not know that it's running. So I'm using the NodeMore I installed earlier to start. Remember I said that is the one that will restart the server anytime I make changes. You can see that we have 3 commands here. This one is the test command. The second one is the start command. The third one is the dev command, which I will be using for our NodeMore. Because if I use this start command now and start this application, every time I make changes, I have to come down and start this application manually. But to save my time and save stress, I will now run the application with NodeMore. So you can see that my application is running and it's hanging. When it is hanging like this, it shows that your application is running. But that is not the good approach. The good approach is, let this server tell me and let me be confident that my application is running. How am I going to do that? We come back to this app.listing, which is the part that listens to any request that come in our server. I will say comma. Now give it an arrow function, which I'm going to pass in here as a callback function. This is our arrow function. Now, in this arrow function, is going to tell me that yes, my server is running, which I will say CLG console log and tell me that my server is running, which I will put in the code and now say server is running on port or at port, whatever you want to put in, on port 5000. Make sure it's 4 digits. You can use any number you wish. You can use 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 8,000, but make sure that the number of your port is 4 digits. So I can now save this now. You can see that by saving it using Control S, my server restart itself with the help of NodeMore I installed earlier that can help me restart the application. And we can see here server is running on port 5000. Yes. So now I'm confident that my server is running. But before, when I started, it was hanging. I can tell you it's running, but you will not be satisfied. But now it's giving me a message that yes, my server is running on so port. So coming back to this app.listing function, this is a built-in function by Express, which is allow our server to be listening. And in here, it has 2 parameters. One is the port number. The second one, the one here is the port number, which is 5000. The second one here is the function, is the arrow function. This particular part I highlighted is the arrow function, the callback function that is telling us that our server is running. This console log I use here, console.log, is a print statement in Node.js. If you are using Python, you use print. If you are using PHP, you use echo. So that is what the console log is here. is to print out message. That's why you are seeing server is running on port 5000 here. So with these points, these 3 lines of code, we have successfully set up our server, and it's running and it's waiting for any request that will come in. So this is how to set up server in Node.js. Any other thing you are bringing it, it depends on your application. It depends on what you are building. You add APIs, you do this, you install packages, all other things, they are built on top this. So this is how we set up our server. So what are we going to do next? After our Express configuration here, we will now set up a basic server. We build a basic server and see whether it's running by saying app.get / command, give it an arrow function which will accept the request and the response objects. Go ahead and pass in the arrow function here. This is how we define API in Node.js. This API now, this app here is the one that we are building our application. This is the Express. When we call this Express function here, we save it inside this variable here. And now we are using this variable to build our API because our application is built on top of the Express. Now we have the get here. Get is HTTP method, which is the parts of API that we use. Entire this, we call it API, but it has parts inside, which I'm explaining. The get is for we to read something. When we reach the level of doing CRUD, you will see that the get is get something. The C is create something, update for you, and delete for D. So this part here, this is our endpoint. This particular part I highlighted here. From here to this point, this is our endpoint. But for now, we're just doing a basic API. So we'll leave it default like this. This API contains 2 parameters, which one is the endpoint. The second one is the function that responds to each request that call this endpoint. This particular part here, the request and the response, there are parameters passed in to accept the request and the response object. This one here is accepting what is coming from this endpoint. When they call this endpoint, that is where we use this request. The response is what we are sending back to the user. So let us do it like this. Response dot send and then we pass in a message. Welcome to Node.js. And then save this server. As I save it, it's running. My server is still running on port 5000 to tell me that yes, it's running. So this is how we create API using Node.js when we're building our application on top of Express. We are using Node.js for the runtime environment and Express for our application to depend on it. We are building it on top of Express. So this is how we do it. So please, I don't have power supply and my battery is giving me warning. So this is where we stop for today. On Thursday, when we come, we'll continue from here and go forward. So this is where I will stop for today because I don't have power supply. Thank you for joining.